This whole dive into copper bullets has been fascinating for me, and you guys should check it out. Go to barnesbullets.com and have a look at the website and check out these bullets. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I've found with them. But what they talk about is, like since 1989, they've been engineering the most technologically advanced hunting bullets and ammunition on the planet. And the more I shoot these suckers, the more I tend to believe it. They're manufactured here in the USA. In fact, their facility is down by my dad's ranch in central Utah. And what I've found is they really do create a little bit better penetration. They expand on impact, so the blood trails are quite a bit larger, and they do a little bit more damage, putting that animal down a little, faster. It's a way. In fact, on their website it says produce massive wound channels even in dense, thick-skinned game, and that is true. I found that to be true for sure. Check them out, and check out the episode I did with Barnes. So it's 191 with Mitch Cookson, and he gets into great detail about how these bullets are designed and why they're better. Definitely worth some consideration. Go to barnesbullets.com, have a look for yourself, make a decision, let me know what you think. See ya. Experience the evolution of accuracy with the new Browning X-Bolt 2. Guys, this rifle is something else. With the introduction of the X-Bolt, Browning has set a new standard in the development of bolt-action rifles. It was created around the goal of total accuracy, where every component worked in unison to improve downrange performance straight out of the box, from windswept tundras to rocky peaks high above the tree line to African plains and everywhere in between. The X-Bolt delivered the tack-driving accuracy a Browning rifle is respected for. And that's super true, guys. I really like this rifle from a standpoint of, it's not super heavy, it's not super light. I put a really nice scope on it. I love that Veritech stock, because that is one of those pieces of accuracy that, that interface between the rifle and the shooter. Not everybody's the same size. The DLX trigger, you can get the plus magazine system for extra rounds. Great all-around rifle in the field. For those of you that are looking for a rifle this year to take to the field that you can feel real confident in and get really comfortable with, this is the rifle to check out. The Browning X-Bolt 2 should be one of your top contenders. Link is in the show notes. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Time studio right here in Northwest Montana, and brought to you by Eastman's Hunting Journals. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Got a good one for you. So some of you know, if you kind of follow along on Instagram or whatever, a few weeks ago, after the actually, I don't know exactly when this episode is coming out, so might be like a month ago. After that, the whole heart attack thing, my family had plans to go to Maui. We flew to Maui, and on the plane ride there, I met a new friend, and I'm pretty excited to have him on the show because he's got a super interesting background and all sorts of cool stuff going on in Maui. He's a big time hunter. He's got an awesome YouTube channel called Juggernaut Outdoors. And I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this episode. So, Bobby Collins, my friend, thanks for joining me on the show, man.
Aloha, Jim. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. It was cool. It's funny when you're doing stuff like flying in an airport well, you don't fly in the airport. I recommend getting on the plane and flying from the airport, but you know what I mean? All the weird, strange people, all walks of life that you meet, and you and I kind of bump into each other. We're kind of sitting close by, and I don't know, you were wearing something that told me you were a hunter, and I was wearing a t-shirt or something. I think I was wearing the Elk Creek Outfitting t-shirt, And
Yeah,
I
and I
did
had a
that.
Kuiu backpack.
That's right. That's what it was. And so I kind of did that by design too. I like to anytime I fly, I wear the Elk Creek outfitting shirt so I can try to get some clients coming over, or whatever.
Smart.
But anyway, we connected there and had a great conversation. And gosh, for those of you listening, he even brought some Axis deer meat and some fresh mangoes and these huge giant avocados right from his garden, and dropped them off at the resort we were staying at in Maui, and it was super awesome. I really appreciate that, by the way. But
Yeah, of course.
anyway, yeah, man, it was good to meet you. So I'm excited for this one because you've got the Western Huntsman podcast is about mostly centered around hunting the West, right?
Hmm.
So, states like Arizona to Montana to Wyoming and all that stuff. And so hunting Maui, you had like kind of made mention that you live in Maui because of the hunting. And I
Yeah.
was surprised to learn that it is like just this year-round thing. You don't even need a tag to go hunt a axis. You just need like your hunting license or whatever.
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit about who you are, your background, how you ended up in Hawaii, and we'll take it from there, brother.
Sure. I grew up in a small town called Toledo, Oregon, on the coast in Oregon. So I grew up hunting rosies and blacktails with my family, and it was mostly, you know, we hunted for meat. Um, so we put in for cow tags and we'd shoot does if it was appropriate. And
Yeah.
so hunting's been in my family for ever. So I've been hunting since very, very, very young. Um, I when I was, I don't know, right when I was born, my uncle had moved to Maui in 1980. I was born in 1980, and with his best friend from my little hometown,
Mm-hmm.
and stayed here for a couple years, moved back to the mainland, and met my aunt and married her. And he would always tell me and my buddy from high school, his name's Matt, all the shenanigans from Maui in the 1980s. And you can imagine Maui in the 1980s, a lot of movie stars, a lot of rock stars, and a lot of
Oh
big,
yeah.
big, big bar scene.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'd always tell us these crazy stories, and me and my buddy always talked about doing it. But from the age of 15, he and I, while we were in high school, we joined our local fire department, and so we were recruits from 15 years old until we hit 18, and we became or cadets, and then recruits after 18, and then um, became full-fledged firefighters. So I was actually a sleeper firefighter there in my local volunteer fire department for almost 10 years. And so, became
What
an
what does that
EMT.
what does that mean? A sleeper firefighter?
So I lived at the fire station,
Oh,
and
gotcha. Okay.
in exchange for me living there and not paying any rent, I would go on as many calls as I could. Um, because believe it or not, some calls firefighters like to go on more than others. If we had a
I'll
house
bet.
fire or a car fire, everybody would show up. But,
Yeah.
90, 80 to 90% of firefighter calls are medical calls. And a lot of those are lifting assistance for someone that fell in the bathroom and couldn't stand up on their own, and, non-emergency medical things. So we would do that to serve the community.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for a lot of those years, I was also um, I worked for the Oregon Department of Forestry as a wildland firefighter, and a during the summer, and then um, I forget what they call it, but I worked reforestation during the winter. So I'd plant trees and cut brush,
Oh,
and so
cool.
I did that for a long time. Became a fire warden with the Oregon Department of Forestry for a lot of years, and then basically the entire beginning of my adult life, I was dedicated to service to others. And I
Mm-hmm.
hit I hit 25 years old, and I'm like, you know, living at the fire department for so long, and the forestry had dorms also, that I didn't accumulate. I had a very transient lifestyle. I felt like I didn't own a lot of things, and I thought, if I don't do something for myself, I probably won't ever do that. And a lot of people dedicate their lives of service to like that, and that is completely great. But
Sure.
I thought that I maybe needed to do something different. So me and my buddy made plans to moved to Maui, and my uncle's friend had still lived here. He owned a couple businesses, and so we had jobs waiting for us and a vehicle, and it was very, very easy uh transition to come over here and just start working, and I fell in
And
love with it.
what year was that?
That was in 2005, September
Oh,
of
wow.
2005. Yeah, so I'm coming up on 20 years.
Wow, man. Yeah, you have been
Yeah.
there a long time. Huh.
Island time flies, man, though it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet. It does. It when you're there, just like as a tourist, like I was, which I bet you guys get sick of them. And
No, no, absolutely
yeah,
not. It drives the economy.
yeah, that's
Uh,
true. That's
but
true.
that's my opinion.
Yeah, I could tell that it depended. Like there were some locals, I could tell that it's like, okay, here comes another tourist kind of thing. But where we were staying, um, that's all there was over there, on
Yeah.
that side. It seemed like so whatever. But anyway, so you've been there almost 20 years, and what have you been doing there, work wise and all that?
Well, I started delivering furniture when I first showed up at 25, and I worked as a warehouse manager for a furniture store for a couple years, and then after that I started carpentry. I worked for a general contractor, and I did that up until the fire, and then after the fire I just started working for myself, doing um basically
Mm-hmm.
handyman stuff. I was the foreman for the general contractor after several years, and I decided that it was probably time to work for myself, and so that's what I've been doing for the last, well, ever since August 8th, I guess was the fire was August 8th.
Of 23, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So we're coming up on almost 2 years. That's
Yeah.
crazy too, because when we were there, we stayed right in the heart of where that fire was for the most
Hmm.
part, and like it doesn't look like it was that long ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the rash from the fire or whatever you call that, it's super evident. But so, do you like? I'm curious about that because it's always like this big thing. It's like it could be. It's a huge thing to take on to go out on your own, start your own company, and all that kind of stuff. How you feeling about that? You happy you did it?
I never wanted to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I never wanted to be responsible for myself, I like
Hmm.
I like having a regimented lifestyle. But and I was always told by my friends that I should do it, because
Hmm.
I like to think I'm good at what I do, mostly finished carpentry. Um and so I finally did it. I enjoy it. I make 3 times what I was making, probably more than that, and I get to
Hmm.
make my own schedule, and it's nice that it's really in demand here, and it always really has been, to have somebody that is transparent with clients and honest, and you know unfortunately a lot of guys have the reputation of here not returning phone calls, or taking jobs, and then taking jobs that they might not necessarily have the timeline for. And I'm completely upfront. Like, if I don't have time to do it, I'll try to help you as much as I can, but I don't want to. I have a lot of integrity, I think. But I grew up
Yeah.
in the fire department a lot, around a lot of people with really great integrity, and I was very lucky for that. And that carried over into my adult life. And so I like to I like to be really truthful and transparent with people when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
Well,
Uh,
it's important in any market, man. But I would kind of like venture to guess that Maui is similar to Montana from a standpoint, like it's a smaller market, and a lack of integrity would spread like a wildfire. No pun intended. With the how
mhm.
do you pronounce that? Lahaina? Is it
Lahaina.
Lahaina. Okay,
Yep.
no pun intended with the Lahaina fire, but I imagine if you didn't maintain, a strong sense of ethics and integrity with the customer base, that would spread through the island pretty quick. And
It
so,
does.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you do it does in Montana, and like where with my business here, it's I get a lot of work because I'm the one dude that actually shows up when I say I do, when I'm going to, like,
Hmm.
hey, can you come see my roof? Yeah, I'll come and check it out, and I'll be there Saturday at 10 o'clock. And guess what? I'm there Saturday at 10 o'clock. Where everybody else just kind of no shows them. And
Yeah.
I don't know how they stay in business, honestly. But
Me
anyway,
neither.
we could do a whole
Me neither.
podcast about that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
I'm super curious. Like, tell us a little bit about the Hawaiian or slash Maui hunting lifestyle that is like, it's so foreign to me, man. Like, I didn't even see any deer when I was there. We kept driving around. I'm like, come on. I heard that there's more axis deer here than there are humans on this island. And I don't know if
There's a
that's true or
lot.
not. Is there? And but I never saw any, and we looked, and so anyway, I don't know where to go, obviously. So what's the
Sure.
hunting like there? Tell us about the hunting life.
It is. I'm probably gonna catch some shit for spreading the spreading the wealth here. But it is a very well kept secret that Maui and just Hawaii in general is a hunting mecca. Is how I would describe it. There's plentiful game, um, and a diversity of game here. Uh, Really, the only hurdles is the logistics of being people coming to be able to hunt them, and that's as far as being able to afford to come and the place to stay, and then also the majority of game, at least on Maui, when it comes to deer, or all on private property. And it's hard to get permission. People are very hesitant to grant permission to people.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I want to speak to any of the folks that are listening. Maybe they live there in Maui or whatever, that might get upset by spreading some of that information. The thing is Maui's going to be like one of those coveted units in Wyoming or
Yeah.
Montana that you draw a tag kind of thing. It's not like it's this easy, accessible, over the counter situation where somebody could drive a few hours and go shoot a deer and then drive home with a cooler full of meat. It's not like
Yes.
that. So, like, don't anybody get panicky about it. I mean, it's really expensive. It's very
Exactly.
expensive just to get there. And
Hmm.
then, like you said, the logistics, that's kind of what I was thinking about. I'm like, man, like, I could do it. I just ship the meat, but it would cost you a small fortune, to ship
Yeah.
that meat.
But the
So,
good thing is that you can, if you do it in a checked cooler, or
mhm,
even a checked bag, if you have a place to freeze it beforehand, which is crucial, then and you check it, it's gonna stay frozen no matter where you're going on to back to the mainland. And you can
yeah.
take up to 50 pounds home, which the yield on a big axis deer is probably 50 pounds, you
Yeah, I
know.
would think maybe even if you debone it, I
Hmm.
don't think you'd even hit 50, but that's what a lot of people do when they come out to the Elk Creek outfitting. We have a, what do they call those sub-zero freezers there at the
Hmm.
lodge, and we just freeze that meat and then package seal it so they could check it, and that's what a lot of them do. But um, they end up also giving a lot of like, I ended up with a lot of extra deer meat this year because of guys not wanting to ship it home or whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway, of course, they didn't do that much with the elk meat, but definitely the deer
Of
meat.
course.
That's what I that's what I'd be concerned about, though, Bobby, is like, man, like I when we were talking on the plane, I was like, man, he's got it figured out, man. This is a great lifestyle. He's always hunting, he's always got something going on, he's got his own little business, he's able to make his own schedule and go do all this hunting. But how does a person survive without elk hunting? How does that
Right.
work?
I, I haven't elk hunted in over 20 years. Um, I've never hunted Rocky Mountain elk, only Rosies. And I don't even know what it would be like now to go back and and elk hunt. You know,
Try
I
it.
go back. Yeah, I'm a bow hunter now. Well, I mean,
Mhm.
I hunt with what I can. Um, but I'd love to go back and hunt rosies with a bow. Uh, and I don't know. It's just there's so I haven't really given it any thought, to be honest, Jim, because there's so much
Really?
hunting here. And really the only time I went back and hunted was the me and my mule deer hunt in Utah at Strawberry Reservoir. And talking about the deer meat the guys leave behind, I brought it all back with me, but I ended up turning it all into summer sausage.
Oh
I'm really
man, yeah,
spoiled with that Axis deer
yeah,
meat here.
yeah. I was gonna say, man, if you and I'm telling you, like, there's something even more sagey flavored about those Utah mule deer, man. They just are super sagey taste. It's like you're
Yeah.
taking a bite of a sagebrush or something. I mean, it's good. A lot of it's good
It's
meat,
good.
but to compare it to like a Hawaiian Maui axis deer, kind of thing. But you
Yeah.
you mentioned you mentioned diversity of hunting there. So you've got axis deer, you've got like
Yep.
wild pigs or whatever running around there.
Yep.
They're not
Yep.
boars, right? They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. They're poor.
are they?
Most of them are a hybrid between like a European hog and a Polynesian hog. But
Oh
yeah,
wow.
there's
Okay.
uh boars and sows, obviously. Plenty of them, and they're different. We have so many microclimates here. They're different. Um, like the pigs in the jungle, you're
Mm-hmm.
looking anywhere, up to 300-pound boar, and
Oh my
then
gosh, that'd be fun.
and they're impossible to hunt basically without either baiting them, which I don't even know if is legal. Probably on private property it's legal. Um,
Hmm.
but I've never. But you have to have dogs basically to hunt them on in the jungle
Yeah.
side, and I've never went dog hunting. Not that I don't appreciate working dogs, I do. For bears and cats especially, and coons. But
Yeah.
I just I don't know. Hearing a pig squeal like that, I, I, I and then they don't shoot them generally. They use a knife to kill them, and
Yeah,
the
I've
older.
heard that. There's like some traditional thing you got to kill them with a knife,
Yep.
which is nuts.
uh the pigs hold the ears, or the dogs hold the ears rather, and then a couple guys will grab the back leg, so they can, then they'll stick them in the heart. And the
Jeez,
older I
that is
get, as much as I
wild.
love hunting, the harder it is for me to kill things, even though
Yeah.
I love to eat them. But I'm getting tender heart in my
Man,
older
it
age.
seriously, that happens. And you and I were born, I was born in
Mhm.
1980 as well, and it's like, I don't know if every dude is just kind of heartless when they're in their teens and 20s or whatever, but the older I get, like, it kind of pains me now
Mhm.
when I get a deer. Like, I killed a really nice lion this last winter with dogs. We
Mhm.
treat a lion, and me and my buddy Rob, and I was looking at that cat, and my daughters have cats here at home, and the face of this mountain lion is way bigger. A 150-pound cat, up in a tree, and but the face looked like my daughter's cats, and now I
Yeah.
kind of felt guilty when I sauced him. But anyway, I think that happens to most people, man. We just start getting a
Yep.
little more tenderhearted, and it's not
Yeah.
like it's going to stop me from doing it, but
Yeah.
I think a part of that is it. I think it kind of derives out of your maturity, turns into, like, you understand the burden of taking a life more than,
Absolutely.
and that's probably why, like, 18, 19, 20-year olds make really good Marines, when
Yep.
it's in the Marines, and it's just a different mindset. I think that you just start identifying this heaviness that comes out of, taking a life more than when you're, young, and you don't think
Yeah.
about that, so I
Nope.
don't know. So you've got hogs, you've got deer. What else do you hunt there?
There's goats, or Spanish goats, and which some people call them the Hawaiian ibex.
Uh-huh.
Nah,
Oh yeah.
they're great to hunt. And then we have mouflon sheep. on the island, on the Big Island, and then also on Lanai. I primarily hunt Maui and Lanai. So Maui, we have the pigs, goats, deer, and then a pretty good variety of upland game birds as well. And then
Mm-hmm.
Lanai, there are deer and mouflon sheep and a lot of upland game birds.
Mm-hmm.
Molokai, which is also in Maui County, there's are deer. I think there are hogs as well. And then I don't know about. I don't think they have mouflon. I could be wrong, but they also have black buck there,
Oh, really?
randomly. Yeah, and then
Interesting.
the Big Island has goats, feral sheep, and then mouflon, and then hogs, and plenty of upland game birds as well. And then uh, Kauai has black-tailed deer,
Mm-hmm.
goats,
I
and
did not
I
know.
think hogs.
I had no idea there were blacktail over there.
It's yeah, it's kind of a
Do you,
secret.
do you ever go there and hunt those?
Nope, nope.
Is it
It's
is it a special draw or something or?
I don't think so. I think it's same as most places. You don't have to have a tag. You just gotta find them, and it's hunting Kauai is there's some treacherous country over there. Very very steep.
Hmm.
Yeah, jungle, steep jungle.
So, on Lanai, that's that island that I could kind of see across from where my that resort we were staying in was, right?
Yep,
It looked
exactly.
pretty. It looked pretty barren over there. What's over there? Is there like are there some towns and stuff over there as well, or
Yeah,
like
there's one
resorty areas?
town,
Is
Lanai
there?
City. Yeah, Lanai City, which is part of the state. Like it's obviously a municipal, and then the entirety of the rest of the island, with the exception of the city itself, is owned by Larry Ellison.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It used to
It's
be
so.
owned by Dole Pineapple,
Oh,
and then they sold it to Rupert Murdoch, and then Larry Ellison bought it a few years ago.
huh. I had no idea. It's crazy. The stuff you learn, man. That's what's crazy about Hawaii, dude. Like it's, it's weird to think that you have these separate little islands, but it's all the same state. Like you'd think
Right.
it'd be their own little entities or whatever. But, so like if you get a hunting license, you're good, right? You can go. Okay, I've
For
got,
the
I've got
in
my
Yeah, for
for
the entire state.
for the entire state. So you can go to like
Mhm.
Oahu, and
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything over there, but
Yeah, there's
uh,
hogs.
is there? Is there? What do you
Mhm.
like hunting the most?
I like to hunt the deer the most because that's what I like to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also because it is such a challenge. If I if I'm hunting for myself anyway, and
Mm-hmm.
if if I come across a pig I I let a lot of animals walk these days, especially if I have meat in my freezer. But if I come across a pig, I'll take a pig too.
Yeah.
But if I mentor a lot of hunters, especially adult onset hunters, and
Oh
so
yeah. Tell me
I
about that.
it's great. That's kind of how you live forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learned from my uncle and my grandfather, and now that I'm teaching other people, they'll teach someone else, and that's immortality right there.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure, man.
I'm currently mentoring a father and a son, mostly for the son, but the father just he wants him to get out there and hunt. And really, really great guys. I've taken them once so far, and super receptive. And when I take new people out, I like to take them uh, up to Poli Poli, which is the Kula Forest Reserve to hunt, and we'll hunt goats up there. And because goats are pretty stupid. they're you can they're they're as alert as they are. You can get close to them, or you can wait for them to get close to you, and they travel in groups, so you can shoot at a few of them, and they'll get close, which is good for a first time hunter.
Yeah.
Um,
So super high, odd kind of thing, success rate,
yes,
which is always
yeah,
good. it's always good with when somebody's getting into hunting. That's kind of what I always like recommend. Don't take them on a spring bear spot and stock hunt.
Yep.
Take them on like a over here. I'd take them on a whitetail deer hunt down to some
Yeah.
agricultural front or whatever. But yeah, lots of action. Turkey hunting's
Yeah.
great. Turkey hunting's a great beginner over here.
Yeah, you never
So
know how someone's gonna react to that first situation, you
yeah.
know? Like when I took them out this last time, it was me, another buddy, and then the father and son. And when my other buddy he took a goat, which I think was great. The kid couldn't get a shot on the goat, so my other buddy took the goat, and he was there holding parts and out of the way for us to butcher up the goat. And so he was elbows deep in it right away, and I could tell he's
Nice.
probably going to end up being a good hunter. And because right away when you're there, when something dies, um whether or not you want to continue, usually,
Yeah.
with that kind of venture.
Yeah, absolutely. You see that even like my daughters. I knew 5, 6 years ago which one of them was going to be a pretty serious dedicated hunter and which one was going to lose interest, and I was deadly accurate. And so, um, yeah, that's awesome, man. And I want like tell everybody about like your YouTube channel, why you do that. I it's funny. I've been on your YouTube channel a few times, and I never noticed the mule deer hunt that you did. I watched
It
the
was a
lanai.
montage. Yeah, just a montage of it.
Is it okay? Okay.
Yeah. It's on there somewhere. Probably under Utah 2020,
Yeah, Utah mule
2020,
deer
20.
2022.
Yeah, 2022.
And
Yeah,
you
it's a
got your
sad story.
25. Yeah.
I
The
killed a great mule deer. Everybody went crazy, and it was um the first time I have ever had a taxidermy done, a shoulder mount,
mhm.
and it turned out I had it done in Utah and sent, and it showed up about 2 months before the fire or something like that. So,
Oh, no, you're telling me it burned in the fire.
burned
Oh
in the fire.
shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, I got out of there with just a pistol and some underwear. That was it.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah.
I am super curious about that because you've got a bunch of videos on your YouTube channel with this fire
Mhm.
and that like just insanity that this thing was.
Right.
And I have like a small taste of that. I had a truck fire that happened to me on my way up to I was actually I had liver shot an elk the night before,
Mhm.
and I'd let him die overnight, and I was on my way up to go retrieve him, and this was a bow hunt, and my truck caught on fire. I lost a pistol. I lost two pairs of Hoffman Explorer boots. I mean, thousands of dollars in hunting gear, camo, rain gear, pack. I got my one pack out. The other pack didn't make it. I mean, just thousands of dollars in hunting gear, a laptop, all my cameras that I was recording these hunts with, including the one camera that had the SD card in which got my shot the night before on that bull.
Oh no.
Which was that was actually pretty devastating because it was such a cool. I knew right where that camera was kind of leaned up. It was attached to my shoulder strap on my pack, so it just followed my arrow right to the bull, and that's why I had the laptop so I could check the footage. And I watched it, and then I had a bunch of space still left on that SD card, so I put it back in the camera. Boom, burned to the ground
Oh
with the truck.
no.
So anyway, that is not nearly as like big of a deal as losing your house to this fire.
Right.
Can you walk us through what happened with that, or how much? I
Sure.
don't know. Yeah, I'm super curious about that because that thing just seemed to come on suddenly and ruined a lot of lives.
Oh yeah. I mean, over 100 people died, which is I think a miracle that not more people died now that in retrospect.
Yeah,
Um yeah, I haven't I don't right afterwards I talked about it a lot, but I haven't talked about it in a long time. And there's definitely some PTSD. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'll
yeah,
do my
just
best.
whatever you're comfortable with, man.
Sure.
I don't want to make it rough.
No, no, it's fine. Yeah, it was early morning. We had a wind event, and it was kind of we had had drought conditions, for quite a while, so it was dry. And then we had a red flag warning with a real heavy east wind, a dry, hot east wind, and the winds that morning. And we had lost power. And the there had been a small fire earlier before I woke up out of bed, and they had tried to suppress that small fire, or they did. Turns out that I think the investigation said that it wasn't completely out and resparked, which started the bigger fire.
Oh man.
Uh, and that was caused by power lines, down power lines. I think the investigation is all done, and that's what they concluded. So me and I had two roommates. we we're all up because the wind is the craziest wind that I've ever experienced in my life, and I'm from the
So
Oregon coast.
can I ask you something about that?
Sure.
Because so when I was there, it was the last week of May, first week of June, and there
Hmm.
seemed to be a pretty impressive wind every single afternoon. Like
Yeah.
like we don't get winds like that unless it's an actual wind event here in Northwest Montana. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you guys, it was like you could set your clock to it. Is
Yeah.
it was it different than that? Like a stronger
Yeah. For sure. Though
what?
you're what you're describing, we call it trade winds,
Yeah.
which is a normal a normal thing. You're looking in anywhere 15 to 25-mile-an-hour winds, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this day, it was like a sustained 50 to 60-mile-an-hour wind with gusts, I would say probably close to 100-mile-an-hour gusts. It was
Wow. Holy cow,
there.
man.
There was things flying through the. We were watching roofs being peeled off of neighbors' houses, and we we couldn't cook, obviously, and so me and the one roommate, my buddy Corey, we decided, we had heard that the grocery store was open, and this is like in the afternoon, and so
Mm-hmm.
we were gonna go down to the grocery store and get some instant noodles, because I had my little camp stove that we could cook up
Yeah,
some
yeah.
instant noodles. So we're walking down the street, and uh big sections of corrugated roofing, the 16-foot sections, were blowing down the street and just getting wrapped
Holy
around
cow.
telephone poles. Yeah, it was
Jeez.
insane. It was completely dangerous. We shouldn't have been out.
Yeah.
But we got to the store and we bought some noodles, and that was about the time we walked out of the store where uh we looked up towards the house and we could see a pretty good column of smoke. And I'm like, man, that is pretty close to our house and we should probably get up there. And my roommate's like, nah, it's fine. It's far away. And so I live probably 4 blocks from the store.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to the bottom of my street, Lahaina Luna Road, and we're walking up, and already traffic is backed up because the wind had blown telephone poles down across the highway, and there were cops that were directing traffic, and it was chaos. And we're walking up the street, and the wind is blowing the fire column down slow low to the ground, that it was almost like darkness, and firebrands were traveling probably miles ahead of the fire at this point, and I didn't know that. Um, and already, as we start to walk up the street, there a guy comes walking down, and he is just burnt up on one side, and he's like,
Oh,
don't
wow.
don't go up there, it's already on the road. But my other roommate was up there, and he's just an IT guy, and so I couldn't just not go up there and get him out of there and make
Yeah.
sure that he was okay. And so we get up there, and I have a short video of out my kitchen window of the column of smoke, and I'm like, we got to get out of here, and we don't have time. Already I stuff was on fire in my yard already, small fires, and I said, we got to go. So I grabbed I grabbed my important documents. I grabbed my Sig X10 and
Yeah.
a couple pairs of underwear and threw it in my a backpack and some water. And we went and got my um, roommate's Lexus, the three of us. And by this time, traffic was backed up all the way up my street, and the fire is just above my house, like a quarter mile above my house or less. And
Wow.
and luckily, in retrospect, there were probably three times where my our lives were really in danger, and this was the first one where if if these people hadn't let us into traffic, then we would have had to get out and run. So they let us in, thankfully, and we got um, directed down to Front Street through parking lots because the telephone poles were across the highway, and and the I feel bad for the emergency responders. There's nothing I don't think that anybody could have done once the fire started. That it was so wind driven. Um, there was no way to put it out, and there's no amount of training. And I've had an excessive amount of fire training, both structural and wildfire. There's no amount of training that could have prepared anybody for this,
Were
especially me.
were they kind of after the fact? A lot of people kind of doing the whole Monday quarterback, couch
Of
thing.
course, yeah,
What do they call that?
of course.
Yeah, and
Monday
that's the
morning
thing.
quarterbacking,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That whole thing, and in retrospect, you can always look back, and it doesn't matter what the situation is. It could be a firefighter on a T-bone accident in any town, America, and be like, well, you could have done this better and could have done that better. But
Yeah.
in the moment, nobody knows what is actually going on. Nobody knows the magnitude of what this fire is going to be. Nobody knows what power lines are down with all this wind and corrugated metal flying through the air. I just can't imagine the nightmare and the chaos that would ensue out of all that.
A
And see,
nightmare is a really good description of it for sure.
yeah, yeah, I'll bet, man. I'll bet. I mean, I feel blessed to be able to just talk to you and know that you're still
Thank you.
upright and I have a good buddy now in Maui that that's crazy. So they got you guys directed around that, and you were able to the traffic started flowing at some point or something or like.
There was a lot of stop and go. And we decided that we needed to go into the direction of the civic center, which is where always the shelters for anything are always set up. I mean, so we tried. We got to Front Street and we tried, and but the cone of the fire had spread so far that it started fires on both ends, and so buildings
Oh
were
wow,
already
crap,
burning, and
people,
it
yeah.
trapped people, and so we get into the other lane to drive, and already people are coming back in our lane of travel because they were blocked by fires down at the north end of Lahaina Luna Road. And so we're in this Lexus, and in the video you can hear me talking, um, and I didn't realize there was music on the radio at the time. I think
Uh-huh.
there's some reggae playing, which was not on purpose. And
Is
then
this the escaping Lahaina fire just
yeah.
in time? Yeah, video.
Yeah, yeah, and you can hear me talking, and I'm just super calm, but that's 100% attributed to my stress inoculation to the fire department. And if you read
Yeah.
through the comments, there's some of them are just so great. People are really great with the comments about how I handled the situation. But we get in front of this place called Warren and Annabelle's, and on Front Street, and there's the buildings on our right and the ocean and the seawall on our left, and uh another car comes and parks basically in front of us and blocks our way, and those two guys is a young kid and another guy, and they get out of their car, and it's like a 86 Tercel or something, I don't know, it was a very old Toyota, and they get out and they ran, and I'm
Wow.
like, fuck, they sorry for the language. They blocked
Yeah,
they
you're good, man.
They blocked the entire road for everybody. And so I'm like, stay in the car. I'm gonna go move this car. So I I don't fault the kid for this because it's habit, but I go up to the car, and then its windows are down. I get into the driver's seat, and he had taken the keys with him. And so note to everybody out there: if you're in an emergency situation and you have to abandon your car, leave the keys in it in case somebody needs to move it.
Yeah.
So luckily, it's just a small sedan. So I get my buddy Corey out of the Lexus too, and we get on the back of the sedan, and we are able to lift it up enough just to scoot it on the pavement enough
Uh-huh.
to just drive by. So our line of cars drove by, and then here come another dozen cars coming back our direction. I was like, okay, we got to turn around. We turned around. That was the second time where I thought that we probably weren't going to get out of there. Um,
Holy cow, man.
yeah, and at this point, people are already getting in the ocean. I
Really?
think this is probably around maybe 4:30 or 5 o'clock. People are already getting in the ocean. It's that bad. It's like midnight. It was so dark, and the wind's blowing firebrands everywhere, and buildings are on fire. And that's about the time we turned around to drive back the way we came. And people were driving up to the highway, and I knew that we couldn't go that direction. And there was a road to our right. I forget what road it is, but there were a lot of power lines and stuff down. No power poles, thankfully, and that's about where that video starts of us driving. We drove underneath one of the electrical trucks that was holding a pole up, and that was the next time. I'm like, okay, we're gonna take this road, and let's hope that we can get out on this road. And we were able to drive through and get down out of the cone of the fire and try to go to a shelter. And we ended up going to my roommate's friend's place, and there was three of us there in Kihei, and they had a tiny apartment, but they opened up their house to us. And sorry.
Oh, you're good,
um
man. Wow.
the and two more people showed up, so they had five of us there. And it was just, everybody was in shock, even them.
Yeah.
I don't even think I showered until that next night, and just covered in smoke and ash and in shock, and not knowing, because I thought there'd be thousands of people that would have died with the conditions that were there. I
Yeah.
don't know how people got out.
I want to explain too. That's like, this is I appreciate you sharing this, Bobby. It's
Yeah.
like, this is like, people will benefit from hearing this, because first of all, this can happen anywhere. Like this, I'm looking outside and I'm like super thankful that it's a downpour rain. In fact, the weather where you're at, I could tell just by the lighting in your background, is way better than it is here in Montana right now. We're getting drenched. It's like 52 degrees outside, and I'm thankful because it's been kind of a dry spring.
Mm.
But if these woods behind me went up, and it does that thing where the wind's blowing ash and sparks and whatnot in front of us, you could easily be surrounded in a wildfire here.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
this is old growth around here. It would be a mess. So anyway, but I want to describe like where you're at in Lahaina. I want to make sure I'm saying that right, Lahaina, because I kept calling
Lahaina.
Lahaina. Okay, I kept calling it Lahaina when we were there. Yeah, and it's like a tell me you're a tourist without telling me you're a tourist situation. So, anyways, but for those of you listening, like there's ocean on one side, there's these like steep big mountains on the other side,
Mhm.
and it's only like a couple of miles from water to mountain, and there's
Yeah.
only a few highways that run parallel to the coastline to like escape this area. So it's like, it's kind of a unique landscape where you really could get trapped in that. And I think that that's what happened with people. And it's just like 2 years later driving through there. I mean, you see the destruction that took place. and everybody like we were looking on some of these kind of, I don't know if, what are they, blogs or whatever. And no, they're like Facebook groups about, traveling to Maui and, the whole tourist experience, whatever. And people are like, well, a lot of the restaurants burned down. And so like you have to make reservations, even though it's not even that crowded right now. And we found that to be true, by the way. If you're going to Maui, you want to make reservations so that, you can go drop $500 on a family of four to have a couple of small steaks. And
without drinks.
Yeah, without drinks. Man. I'm still in shock at some of those prices. Like, I'm still like, my debit card keeps texting me. He's like, was that for real? It's got PTSD. But anyway, no, I could see, and like the remnants of the buildings that were like entire subdivisions that are just nothing but footing foundations right now. And what a scary time. And I can't imagine going through something like that. I mean, that video of on your YouTube, it has 43,000 views, man.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy amount of views. Dude, I'm so glad it turned out well for you.
Me too. I was very lucky, and I'm very fortunate that I have the drive that I did, because after the fire, I stayed with my buddy and his wife and their two daughters, and she was 5 at the time, and so I had to talk about the fire in a really safe way for her, because she was worried that her house would burn down.
Oh man.
And so I had to
Still
talk to her
after,
in a real safe way. Yeah,
like
exactly.
another
And they
fire.
they live on a totally separate part of the island. And so talking about it a lot afterwards really helped out.
Yeah.
And I was really driven. I went and tried to get as much of the help that I needed, and I had a uh very good response from friends and family that helped me out a lot. And
Yeah.
I do my best to pay that forward. And so by September 1st, I had got a truck and found a place to live on, and bought tools to be able to start working. And I started working like that next month.
Wow. All hunters go through a thing when it comes to picking out a gun safe for security, safety, and just a good storage place for all your guns, your rifles, your shotguns, all that kind of stuff. Have you had a look at Secure-It at secureitgunstorage.com? The Agile gun safes are the ones that I really like. I really recommend. This is a modular, scalable gun safe that is way lighter than your traditional safe. So for those of you especially that like move a lot or live in an apartment or something like that, this modular gun safe is super easy to pick up, move to the next location. They have multiple sizes, and when I say modular, like mine has the rifle cabinet and then the cabinet above where I put all my ammo and everything. And this stuff has got the cradle grid technology, what they say is the revolutionary system that forever changed the way U.S. military stores and organizes guns and gear. I really like the fast lock technology when seconds count, fast access in high stress environments. It's a programmable dark mode, quiet mode, biometric on and off. Basically, to get in and out of that safe as quickly as you need to without losing the security side of it. Again, very light if you're getting it up and downstairs. You live on the top floor of a condo or an apartment complex. A traditional storage gun safe is going to be really heavy to move and can cost you thousands of dollars with the moving companies. So if you guys are looking for something modular, adaptable, flexible, a really good, solid gun storage solution, check out secureitgunstorage.com. Link is in the show notes. And after the fact, one of your videos, I can't remember which one, I was on the YouTube here. There was like it was kind of showing. Where was that? It was like showing where your house was, because you lost everything, right? I mean, it just took everything out, man.
Oh, everything. I think I lost 18 firearms, including a lot of sentimental ones that were passed down from my grandfathers and my great grandmother. And yeah,
devastating, man.
It's mostly the sentimental stuff. It's all replaceable except that. Yeah, in that same video, you can see my buddy Corey grabbing his barrels from some of his guns, and the truck that was sitting out front there. You can see that the wheels had melted, but also the fire got so hot that it melted the aluminum engine block in the truck as well. And I've never seen that before in my life as a firefighter.
That's insane. I mean, that speaks to how hot that fire was. And I
Hmm.
imagine like with that fire, because like when my truck fire happened, man, what me and the like sheriff that come up there, which by the way, you're absolutely right when you said, firefighters love to come up on like truck fires. I was way up on a mountain in Idaho on this Forest Service road that I was
Hmm.
super familiar with. I knew when my truck started smoking and I'd lost my brakes, I was able to pull it into kind of this camping spot area. In fact, I'd been camped there like a week before this because it was September, it was elk season. Anyway, that the local fire department, which took like an hour and a half to get up there because I'm so far up there, and these are volunteer guys, man, they were having a ball putting out what was left of my fire. I'm like, I don't know why you guys are hosing down my truck. I'm standing there. I mean, my camo pants and flip flops because I was driving my flip flops to keep my feet cool before I go hiking. I was my goal. I was going up there to recover and quarter out an elk and bring it out to the truck, and
Yeah.
which, by the way, some jerk already beat me. By the time I was able to get back there, almost a week later with my other truck, the crows led somebody else and they got my rack and everything.
Oh
Um,
no.
Meat was toast, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
anyway, I did notch my tag on that, by the way, just for those of you listening. And you don't have to, by the way. And let's not get off on that topic. I just felt like it was the right thing to do.
For sure.
Anyway, but that firefighter, he was having a ball putting that fire out, and I kept giving him a hard time. I'm like, because they had a hard time getting the hose. It was a fire truck with the water on it, and
Yeah.
they're hosing it down. I'm like, dude, there is nothing left of this truck. I had this big aluminum ladder that was non-existent. It melted down into nothing. And I
Yeah.
found the barrel of I had a 45 ACP in there. I found the barrel of that. But yeah, and I think what I'm trying to say is like I was devastated because of the stuff that I lost in a measly little truck fire. To lose all the contents in your home, almost 20 firearms. Like I need to like help you recoup some of that or something. I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we got to figure it out, man. Do you have?
I'm doing okay. That's one of the first things I bought after was I bought myself a pair of Crispies and another Savage 308.
Oh, good. Okay,
Uh,
so you're a
so
308 man, huh?
I'm a 308 man.
All right.
My grandpappy was a 308 man. His grandpappy.
Hey, you
So
know what?
yeah.
There is nothing wrong with the 308. If it works, that's a great round, and you
Yep.
can hunt anything in North America with that bad boy. Anything in the world,
Exactly.
really. So,
Yep.
um, gosh, man, how that's just. I appreciate you sharing that with me because it's such a, that's always a fear for me where we live because we live pretty remote, man. We're out in the
Sure.
sticks, and it's just that's always a threat every summer, and our skies are constantly filled with smoke now in the summers, and it's just like always this thing. And we had a really light winter this last winter, and so it's kind of top of mind right now. And but hearing some
Looks
of this, that could help people. Hearing some of the stuff that
sure.
you did, yeah, you know,
And it's something that people don't think about. And if you go to your local fire department or your local department of forestry, the a lot of times there's a program for them to come out and talk about fire mitigation for your house
yeah,
and what's called a green space around your house, and they'll give you tips and tricks on in case a wildfire comes through to help protect your structure.
yeah. We probably ought to do that here because again, we bought this house a couple of years ago. Actually, we're going on 3 years, I think. Uh, we bought it from an older lady who just couldn't take care of it anymore, and she wanted to move back to Oregon with her son. And there are lots of deferred maintenance. The yard had not been really well kept. The woods are all overgrown, lots of deadfall.
Mhm.
So I've been working on all of that, but it's still kind of a fire hazard. So, um, Yeah, man. So like now that that's all over, you're kind of in this recovery mode from it. Are you like living in the same general area, or did you move to a different part of the island?
I moved up into an area called Kula. It's upcountry Maui. So it's up on the volcano side. And
Gotcha.
so I'm at about 3,100 feet instead of sea level now. And you know, I lived in Lahaina, or in or around Lahaina, for almost 18 years, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved it over there, and so I didn't know any different. But now when I travel over there, man, there's a palpable sense of urgency that, and I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it's a palpable sense of urgency, and just a rush of people on the west side that I never noticed before. And so it's there's so much anxiety that I get when I travel over there that I don't think I'll live over there again.
Yeah.
As much as I love it, it will never be the same, no matter what.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
so there's
Man, that's
definitely some PTSD there.
oh man, I could see it in your eyes. Yeah, it's got to be painful, and I really do appreciate you sharing that story. I think that those kind of stories that are like these big life altering situations that we all go through at some point in our life, or most people go through something in their life that is like life altering at some point. Like I just had a heart attack a month ago, dude. Uh,
Right.
that was life altering. But
Yeah, I
it's like
mean, on the same level too, personally, honestly.
yeah,
Like,
it's
your mortality is something that you don't think about every day.
you don't, and you don't, especially when you're like a dude in his early mid 40s or whatever. I mean, I'm a super active guy. I mean, 8 miles in the mountains is no big deal for me.
Mhm.
We my wife and I, we ruck behind on the mountain behind us on a daily basis. We eat healthy. I don't go to McDonald's and stuff, and it's health is a big important thing, and the reason it is for me is because I'm a hunter, and I don't want to age. When I was young, the dudes in like their 40s and 50s, they were already talking about like, oh, I used to be able to hunt, but now I just kind of have to hunt from the truck. I'm getting too old. I'm over the hill and blah blah blah. Man, and I like made this deal with myself. I never want to get to that point. Like I never
Yeah,
wanted to get to the point where I remember this had to be 15 years ago. I took my father-in-law. In fact, it was in Utah. We went on this high country mule deer hunt, an archery hunt. We're 8, 9, 10,000 feet elevation. I keep almost saying the mountain range we're hunting. I try not to say actual locations on the show, and
right.
but it's a great spot, man. Uh, High country mule deer hunt in Utah, and I thought my father-in-law was going to kill over. And back then, he was a little bit older than I am now, and I never wanted to get to that point
Yeah.
where I struggled in the mountains, and so it can be said. I was talking to Joe Gilia from Elk Bros on a like text message the other day, and because he was asking about this whole heart attack thing, and I'm like, man, it just kind of popped out of my mouth. Elk hunting saved my life, and I mean that. Like elk hunt, if I wasn't a hunter, you look at society, normal American men out there that are 40, 50 pounds overweight. They sit and binge on Netflix most of their life. They sit in offices all day. They don't get out and move their bodies and eat healthy, and they go to fast food restaurants all the time. The doctor literally told me that the heart attack that I had kills most people, and the only reason
Mm,
it didn't kill me is because of the condition I keep myself in. And it's not something that I've talked about on the show a lot, Bobby, from a standpoint of I've always hated, not hated. I've never really liked listening to podcasts where people get like all preachy about being, athletic and a mountain athlete and blah blah blah. And it just kind of bores me, And so
sure.
I'm always careful with not sounding preachy about it. But I'd like to leave that thought in people's mind. Like, seriously, man, elk hunting saved my life, because that's how important it is to me that I'm in good enough shape that I could throw a rear elk quarter on my back. And guess what? They put that little thing in my heart, the stint, and now I can go back and I can hunt this season, and I actually feel a lot better because the blood's flowing better. So,
Sure.
Anyway,
It's
my goal,
important.
it is, man. And I want to be like in my 40s and 50s. I want to be in the best shape of my life. That's going to be hard to do because, you go to Marine Corps boot camp at 18 years old. You're in pretty good dang shape. But,
Right.
that's kind of my goal. And so, like, that's what I want to ask you is, like, for me, I feel like what I went through just with, like, the heart attack, for example, not nearly as dramatic in as intense as a situation that you went through, but how has it changed your outlook on life? How has it affected the way you look at your future and your goals and your ambitions and stuff like that? I know we're getting deep, but
Yeah. Um, I'll, it's forced me to do things like work for myself.
mhm.
I had to obviously completely start over and and buy everything I needed for my business. And but my for my outlook on life, I came to grips with my mortality at a very early age because of my firefighting and
Mhm.
seeing so many people. It was a small community, 3,000 people in my community in Toledo, and seeing doing CPR on people that I knew. I probably did CPR a dozen times, and I don't think, as important as CPR is, I never had somebody come back. So I knew that life is a precious thing. And so I I try after the fire, I try to be as patient and generous as I can with everybody. Um and you know, I think that I think that not sure how I'm gonna try to say enjoying my life while it lasts is important to me, and doing and how I do that is by doing things that I enjoy, and having people in my life that I enjoy, and doing things for people. um I get a lot out of that,
Yeah.
taking new people hunting, or helping a friend remodel his house and not expecting anything in return. It's gratifying to me. And that was the person I was before the fire, and it amplified that for
Yeah.
me.
I know
Um,
exactly what you mean. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
it's
I
it.
I love the way you put that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's almost like, it sounds almost taboo to say, but eh, going through something like that, life altering situation that you went through, is almost beneficial to your mental state from a standpoint of, I feel like you're going to get a lot more out of life than maybe you would have without it.
I
And I
think
know
that's
that
that's
sounds
fair to
terrible.
say.
I
No,
think so.
that's
Yeah.
that's fair to say. Uh, Especially in my case, I was just a single guy, and I just lost things, and I didn't lose anybody I loved, and I didn't I really came out of it relatively unscathed,
Hmm.
in most respects, and not everybody did. So I don't
Yeah.
want to downplay that at all. But for me, it was a big motivator to continue to live my life in a good, and just be a good person and
Yeah.
not be a dick.
Yeah. And Bobby, it's like, I knew when I met you on the plane, I'm like, that's a good dude. That's just what I thought. I'm like, man, that's a good dude. And for you to, like, I almost felt guilty you did it, because now thinking about, the memories that must have brought back coming over to that part of the island to bring me deer meat, And I got to tell you, man, deer meat was great. We did like steak and eggs with it and stuff, and
Nice.
tacos. We did some tacos with
Mhm.
it. Great. It was great meat. But I got to tell you, the avocados and the mangoes were the best we've ever had. Like, I am
Yeah.
not exaggerating. My girls, we were like almost fist fighting over those mangoes. And like, how do you get those? Is that normal in
That's
Maui? Like, is that
that's
just how
normal.
they grow?
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. I have, I don't know. There's still probably 150 avocados on my tree out here in the yard, and then
Oh my gosh. I'd like buy them. I'll buy them from you. If you ship
my
them to, they were
I'm very
amazing.
lucky. My current roommate, he does takes care of a few properties, and so he brings home all kinds of things. Like we have dragon fruits. We have these little dragon fruits
Oh,
that he
nice.
brings home.
Yeah.
All kinds of tangerines and
Yeah.
what do we got here? We got we got coconuts
Wow. Look
and
at that.
and then bananas, and then obviously the mangoes. And the mangoes came off of one of his clients' trees, because if and that's kind of the culture here, is you share. Everybody shares
Yeah.
here. That's the aloha spirit. And
Mm-hmm.
so he brings home a lot of stuff, and I'm just I've never eaten so many fruits in my life. I'm very lucky.
Yeah, but it's good, man. Good and good for you. I'm telling you, like those avocados that you brought. For those of you listening and not watching the video part, he's showing me all these different fruits as he's talking about it. But the avocados, man, were like bigger than a softball. And
Yeah.
you buy dinky little avocados around here, and they're not as big, and B, they just don't taste the same as those ones did.
Yes.
And man, I just felt better too after having between the mango and the super healthy deer meat and the avocados.
Buttery avocados.
Oh man, it was so good. It was better than the restaurants, I'm telling you. So I do I do have like this pretty strong desire to come out there and go with you on one of these axis deer hunts, and
For
I'd want to
sure.
bring that meat home, and like in exchange, I'd love to have you come out to Montana, and if you've never gone after a Rocky Mountain elk with your bow, that's like my specialty, man. I'd love to have you out here,
Yeah, that'd be great.
gosh, I've got plenty of room here. We have 2 guest rooms at the house, and so you'd have
Nice.
your own spot, and we'll go chase these screaming giant horses with swords on their head all day long.
I
I love
love
it.
it. I love it. Let's do that. Well, this is a good time of year. Right now is the rut here,
Is
and
it?
it is, but it's also the time where the avocados and mangoes are going off. So
Man, that'd be yeah. I mean, seriously, I could live off of that. I could live off that Axis deer meat and those avocados. It was
I
that good.
I
So
basically do.
yeah, yeah, I am not kidding you, man. We went to this one restaurant, and it was like this little teeny chunk of steak on like a dollop of mashed potatoes with 3 little things of asparagus, and it was $72.
Yeah.
And I told my wife when they brought that out, and we're having dinner at this spot, and I'm like, I'd just rather go back and have some of Bobby's deer meat. Like $72 for this, like the deer meat's better. And so anyway, yeah, man, I just appreciate you and appreciate that, and appreciate you coming on the show, man, and like telling
Yeah.
that story. I know that wasn't easy. So, really
Thank
thank you
you.
for that. And tell everybody about your YouTube channel real quick before we wrap this up.
It's small. I intermittently post videos, and it's usually just random. I'm gonna try to be better, especially if people start watching. But there's some random garden videos. There's some tacticam videos of me hunting on lanai, and just the the video quality is not that good. I'm just like the description says, I'm just a dude with a camera and out there trying to share some experiences. So don't expect too much, but there's some good stuff on there.
There is. No, they're actually pretty good videos, man. I do
Thank you.
like your little slogan there. Just a dude with no AV skills that wants to share the outdoors with others. But yeah, you guys need to check out if you're listening, I'll have the YouTube channel in the show notes. Again, it's Juggernaut Outdoors, and you need to check out the Lanai Rifle Deer Hunt. That's a really good one. And obviously, he's got a bunch of videos from the fire, even like aftermath videos, garden videos, and it's. I think one of the reasons why I like it, Bobby, too, is because it's so different than what like you see here. There's a bunch of people here in Montana that do YouTube, videos of their hunts and stuff, and seeing stuff on this YouTube channel. It's just so different, and it's really good stuff. So I definitely encourage everybody to check that out. So anyway, any big hunts
I
planned?
appreciate it.
Any big hunts outside of Hawaii coming up?
No. Well, yeah, actually, I think I've accumulated enough points in Wyoming for an antelope hunt, and I'm
Oh,
gonna.
good.
I've been putting in for a few years with my buddies from Utah, and so, but I'm still accumulating points in Utah, and I think I've accumulated points in Montana as well. Um, but I always forget I'm just
I
buying
know.
preference points, so.
Yeah, that's all I do. I have no idea. The only one that I'm like super serious about is my Wyoming elk points that I'm building. And other than that, I just kind of shoot from the hip, man. Some of the
Yeah,
states are
yeah,
like out of my reach or something, but I
right.
think, in fact, I haven't heard from Reekers over at Eastman's. I'm might be going to see my buddy Fonzie Haskell, who is an outfitter in Wyoming. And this place is like famous for their mule deer. I mean, we're talking,
Mm.
195, 210, 200
Oh,
class mule
wow.
deer all over the place. So I might be going out there to see him this fall. I'm hoping so. I have to call Eastman's to see if I drew that tag, because I'm not. They put in for it, but we're gonna like
Yeah.
film it and do this big video thing, and it'll be cool because Fonzie and I he's been on the show a bunch, and we've been talking back and forth. In fact, he just had a house fire.
Oh, no.
It didn't like totally burn everything down, but he definitely lost a lot, and he's had a rough couple of years because he had this crazy four-wheeler accident because they're cattle ranchers out there, and he did something with the cattle on a four-wheeler and crashed. And
Oh.
I'm probably telling this story wrong. He's listening to this cursing me out because I'm not saying it right. But anyway, between that and the house fire, he's a great guy. Hopefully I get to go hunting with him. So yeah.
Just don't let him drive.
I'm not gonna let him drive. No way. Especially no four-wheelers, man. Well, cool, man. This has been fun. We should do
Yeah,
this
I
again.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely, man. There's a lot more information about hunting in Hawaii that a lot of people should know.
Yeah.
Specifically Maui and Lanai for sure.
Yeah, we just kind of scratched the surface, and that was kind
Just
of
scratch the surface.
that's usually what I like to do on the first time I have somebody on. Let's tip of the iceberg stuff. Then we'll start digging into the finer details down the road. But
Absolutely.
that was just that's exactly what we were going for there. So, well, cool, man. Hang on the line for just a minute, but
Sure.
I really do appreciate. Do you anything else? Let's see. Pull this back up. I've got my second screen here. My microphone is really low. There, that's better. Okay. Any social media channels you want to plug or anything like that before we cut this off?
Before the fire, I didn't have any social media anymore because I felt like I had a problem. And then
Uh-huh.
after the fire, I started my Facebook back up to communicate with my family. So I do have a Facebook. It's just Robert Collins.
Okay.
And then I just started a Instagram account, which is also I think it might be Robert Collins or Bobby Collins. Yeah, it's just Robert Collins. And I
Robert
haven't even
Collins.
posted anything on there yet, but I'm gonna start primarily use the Insta as to share hunting videos and shorts and pictures.
So is it like _ Robert Collins or like what is your? There's
Mm,
there's a few.
what? I'm not the only Robert Collins.
No, can you
The
believe it?
one and only. It is RO Collins 355.
Okay, hold on. RO Collins 3 Say that number again.
55.
355. Oh, I found you right here.
0 posts.
Man, you're gonna have to post this episode up when
I'm gonna work on it between now and the time this comes out. I promise.
Okay, I just requested a follow here. So, okay, cool, man. No, that's awesome. I'm glad you're doing that, and yeah, I just want to let's keep in touch, man. I'm serious. I'd love to get together. Let's hunt some axis deer. You come out here, hunt some elk, or so I live in really good whitetail country. If you like big whitetail and mule deer, but the whitetail tastes better. Oh man,
only hunted mule deer once and whitetail once.
Oh, we can change that. Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. All right, guys. So for those of you listening, definitely check out Juggernaut Outdoors on the YouTube. I will have that in the show notes and all that. So I'd like to, before we wrap this up, just thank the sponsors real quick. Mystery Ranch, Loophole Optics, Secure It, Barnes Bullets, Phelps Game Calls, the oldest sponsor on the show, Silencer Central, and Browning, specifically the X-Bolt rifle. Thanks to those sponsors, because without them, this show would not be possible. Bobby, thanks again for joining me, brother. That was a really good conversation, and let's just keep in touch and talk soon.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you, Jim. Thank you.
You made it. That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you're following us on Instagram at The Western Huntsman, and write us a good review at Apple Podcasts. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.